Hey everybody, Norm over here, and I've got my good buddy Dean Delray. And Dean is one of my favorite comedians, and he's been on tour with Bill Burr for how long now?
It's right around a year and a half, I believe. Arena tour. Got to play all the venues I didn't get to play as a musician. Red Rocks, Madison Square Garden, Hollywood Bowl, the Forum. Crazy.
Well, sometimes you got to figure out what you do best, and you're a hell of a comedian, and you're a really good musician too. But sometimes whatever works, don't fight the tide, man. Go with it.
Well, it's funny to think about. Jacob Dylan said the funniest thing. He goes, "I knew you were going to be a great comedian because when we were on tour," he goes, "the best stuff was in between the songs."
No, I hear you. Sometimes that's when it gets real interesting.
Yeah.
And you're going to Vegas now? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I'm off to Vegas, the Comedy Cellar, for a residency, 7 nights, and then Acme in Minneapolis, which is one of the greatest clubs in America.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, Dino opened for Tom Petty a few times. We have a connection there.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I opened for Petty. I opened for a lot of cool people when I played music. What else? Black Crowes, Lenny Kravitz, Dave Davies. Not Ray Davies, Dave Davies.
Right.
Yeah.
Those guys, are they getting along now? Or
Well, they were supposed to do a tour, and then COVID hit. I don't know if they ever really fired that back up. That's what they said. But I never got to see the Kinks. I always wanted to see them. You know?
A lot of great tunes.
Yeah.
To me, they were the first really heavy metal band.
Yeah.
Always all day and all night, and I mean,
You
so
Really
many
Got
tunes.
Me,
You Really Got Me was killer. All those crunchy guitar tones and the holes, and playing an original Flying V,
Karina
and
V's.
Karina V, and Tele Custom and all that. So.
I just read something I didn't know, and I don't even know if it's true because you read it on the internet and you just go, "That's true," and then you go, "No." And if somebody,
you want to believe everything you see on the internet.
And you say something to somebody and they go, "Oh, you're an idiot. That's not true." And you're like, "You know what? You're probably right. I just read that and took it." But I guess when they were first starting to hit big over in the UK, one of them got busted for weed or something, so they couldn't come to the States till like '72. So they really missed that
a lot
big,
of the rush with their original stuff.
Right, exactly. So that was interesting. I never knew that.
They had some other cool tunes that were not quite in the same genre, like Well Respected Man, and things like that, which was, they kind of almost had like a country rock thing happening on some stuff. And
those guys are fantastic.
Really great musicians.
Yeah. It's, what's funny is, like, I've been coming to you since the other little store. I remember going in there
since
one time.
Before I had gray hair and before you had a gray beard here.
Yeah. And then you moved here, and one of my favorite stories was Carradine came in here, and he goes, "I'm going to buy this guitar," and you're like, "Come on, man. You don't have the money," or whatever. And he goes, "No, I'm doing a new movie with this guy, Tarantino."
Right.
And I remember we went out and he had his Pantera out there, and it had 4 bald tires. And you go, before you buy a guitar, buy some tires.
Right.
I never forgot it.
Yeah.
And then he'd bring in that weird voodoo drink.
Oh, man. So I'll tell you 2 quick stories.
Yeah.
One, he had a dog named Thunder, which was like a Pyrenees mountain dog that was like gigantic, and he would come in and he'd turn the dog loose, and the dog would walk over to a white Fender Bassman and pee on the Bassman. I go, "David, come on, man, it's like, and the dog was like a moose,
Yeah, vintage amp,
right.
just.
But the thing with the drink was, one day he comes in and he's got like this giant Sparklets water bottle.
Yeah.
And it's got like twigs and dirt and
Lizard tails
and all, and a dead snake in there.
Oh.
And he brings it over, and I'm looking at it, I go, "David, what's the deal here?" He goes, "It's some kind of Chinese herbal deal or something. I don't know." So anyhow, he brings it over, and he kind of brings it over towards me, and the smell of it was like horrendous. I mean, he couldn't even get near it. And he goes, "No, let me show you." And he takes a big swig out of the thing, and I'm going, "Oh my God."
Wow.
And I'm friends with his wife, Annie, and she, "Oh yeah," and she named whatever it was supposed to be. But it was so shocking, you couldn't get near it. And he takes a big swig out of it just to prove to me that
Oh
it's
my God.
healthy for you. He said, you should have that. I said, I think I'll pass on
No,
this one.
that's some Hollywood stories right there.
Oh, yeah. No, it is wild. So, and by the way, what about your radio and podcast and all that? Let's tell everybody
Let
about
There Be Talk. Norm was one of the first guests on it. I've been doing it 12 years. Let There Be Talk, the only podcast with AC/DC on. You want to hear 4 hours with John Mayer. You want to hear Joe Bonamassa for 4 hours. You want to hear, everybody has
I remember
been on.
John Lovett was down there. I mean,
Yeah.
not to mention all the comedians. One of my favorites.
Yeah, love it. I used to record it at his studio, at his club at the Universal. Now I just do it, technology, you can do it anywhere now. But
Right.
12 years, 755 episodes.
And it's called Let There Be Talk.
Yep, Let There Be Talk. And you want to hear the entire band interviewed of AC/DC, not just 10 minutes with Angus and Brian, but you want to hear Phil Rudd for an hour or so. You want to hear Cliff Williams, I think it was his last interview before he left the band. He actually announced that he was leaving the band on the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
He actually, the brothers came in one time and bought some stuff for me, and then they invited me to go see a video with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
With them, and Arnold was wearing the same kind of purple velvet shorts outfit, as those guys.
Last Action Hero.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. So
Now, Malcolm Kemp, they come to this location?
Well, they came to my old location.
Right.
actually.
That old one was crazy, right?
And, I had a friend of mine who was road manager, Alan, and he would tell me stories that those guys would kind of go into bars and get into fights, and they were tiny guys.
I know,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah, like
but they
5'2".
were pretty feisty.
Yeah. Did you remember what they bought? They buy any
I mean, they
SGs?
bought, they bought some SGs, bought a Gretsch guitar from me,
Wow.
a whole bunch of different things. I mean, every time they would come into town, they
Yeah.
would stop by, and I would victimize them.
Yeah.
I victimize a lot of people. The only thing is that I victimize them, and the values of all this stuff has gone up. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe I victimize myself. I don't know.
Well, I've done some deals with you with other people and stuff. The JJ KO 60 Les Paul.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
some of the no-casters that went out of here, and through some customers and stuff. And I've also sold some stuff to you and bought
Yeah.
some stuff over all the years. So it's it's my favorite place on the planet. I don't even really play anymore now, but I come in and
He plays good, though. So
and those two back rooms back there is just like every time I'd come here, it's Santa. Here comes Norm. Hey, you want to see something cool? Yeah. And it was always cool.
well, I'm looking more and more like Santa these days. Actually, you got the beard
Yeah,
cap
man,
in there.
this is crazy when your beard just goes gray. And then I got a white face, white beard. You can't even see my face. Ghost face.
Wow. I don't see that well, but I can see
I'm
your
a
face.
ghost face.
Tell us about just anything else that that you do. Some of the stuff that I see online with you is hysterical, and I mean just your kind of like daily experiences with people, and then
Yeah.
you kind of observe and say something about people stopping it.
It's just like you just go out and you see people and you go, people are garbage, So right now I'm doing a bit where I say,
In a nice way, though.
yeah,
We
no,
love
in a
people.
nice way, yeah, totally. But I'm saying people who do stuff and they don't realize it's a me world, Like if I say if you're on a speakerphone in public, you don't get to vote because you're an animal.
Yeah, there you
know what I
go.
mean? Like they're in Starbucks, like, oh yeah, Brenda, I know it. It's like, what are you doing? It's just a
We
world.
want an audience.
It's a world of
Everybody wants an
comedy out there.
audience. So yes, it is
Yeah.
a world of comedy.
Yeah.
In fact, we're kind of funny ourselves. Not that we always mean to be, but
Yeah.
people look at me and laugh all the time. So
Yeah, man.
I could be an opening act for you. Just sit there and just look stupid.
Well, you know what? I was looking around in here, and I think one of the funniest things is that there's a woman over there, but the guy, while the girlfriend waits, just there, bored out of her mind, and the guy's like, "This is the one, honey. And they're like, yeah.
Guess what we're getting from me when we go home?
Yeah, exactly.
It's always a trade-off.
Exactly. It's funny, man, to see the woman at the guitar store waiting, like crazy bored.
Hopefully they're not gun toters, you know, so because, I mean, I'm probably a target for a lot of
Well, you know they're going to Louis Vuitton next. Right. That's where they're going next. Handbag.
All right. Well, they got to do something. It's either a new couch or a handbag.
Yeah. She's a musician.
Yeah, Gary over there has got a wife who is a great guitar player, Gina. But that's an unusual situation. Most of the time, the wives want to kill me. And probably the husband, too. So.
Oh, yeah. Because, you know, you come in here as a guy and you lose, it's like a casino. You lose all track of time and also how much money you really have, right? You're like, this one here. And then you go, oh, maybe not.
You got to do a little calculating, a little ciphering.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. How many guitars you got left in the storage?
Probably about 300 or so. You know, one time I had about 700, but I've been pulling some stuff out.
Yeah.
You
saw
know,
the 56 all gold just went.
That's killer. You know, and that Mike Ness got that.
Yeah,
you know. And you know, again, I preserved them. I did my job.
Yeah.
Now it's time for people to play them and enjoy them. And
genius vision to get those, keep them clean, keep them in the proper temperature. I mean, when I first met you, I learned, this is 25, 30 years ago or whatever, about weather checking, you know, like different climates, open it up, there it goes, checks, you know.
Well, I've been kind of the caretaker for a lot of stuff for many years. I don't know, some people call me a genius, some people have other names for me. I ask my wife, she'll tell you that I'm a genius. You know, I come home and I walk in the door and she goes, take out the trash, genius.
So, well, that's everybody.
Puts me in my space, you know, so.
Yep.
Anyhow, it's always great to see you, my friend.
Love you, man. You gotta come see some comedy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if you're gonna be in Vegas, you gotta go see
July 8th through the 14th, 2 shows a night at the Rio, at the Comedy Cellar. Then Minneapolis at Acme Comedy Co. And then Springfield, Missouri's coming up. And La Jolla, DeanDelray.com, all of it. And then the podcast is Let There Be Talk. And Norm's been on, and it was one of the greatest. It was Norm and Mark, and they came down, and they brought like a 60 Les Paul. They brought
actually, Joe Bonamassa ended up with that. That was a really beautiful guitar.
Oh, it's beautiful. And then some 50 Strats. It's a great, great episode.
Well, thank you so much. My buddy Dean Delray, you're going to see a good show if you go and see him live, man.
Yeah, come on out,
He's really
man.
funny, and he really, there's no holds barred, let's say.
No, yeah. All right.
It's not woke.
Oh, you know what? Oh, I did want to remind you of this because Marcus King was, when he was a kid, he came here, and that's kind of when I first saw him. And then a year and a half ago, we came up with this idea of doing a comedy rock tour, and we did it 2 months around America, and it was
with Marcus.
Yeah, it was he and cool. I, and Neil Francis, and we went around America, and I did comedy, and he played a full rock show. So the vision came true.
Marcus is the guy.
Oh, he's a killer.
Really, really great, and you know, he's a really good player too. So thank you, Dean.
Thank you, buddy. I love you, man.
Brother.
Awesome.
Love you too.
See ya.